The 5-hour Energy Detroit Renegades and FNRGFE. This should be a good one. I'm really looking forward to it. We're going to start on Lijiang Tower. We'll see exactly which map we go to. The biggest question for me is sometimes Magachu's stubborn. And stubborn on the Pharah sometimes when it's not working perfectly. And I think he needs to be a little quicker to switch when it's not working.
I agree, and on the same note, I don't really want to see Mangachu too much on D.Va here, where his D.Va is all right, but I do think that leads to a bit of a mismatch in between the two teams.
Yeah.
The question here still is going to be, though, Cool Matt versus Mangachu, where Cool Matt does do a very good job of getting into the opposing D.Va's face, and we've actually seen, if you look back to old matchups like Complexity v Renegades, where a D.Va could mitigate Mangachu coming in on the Pharah.
Should be one of the better Tracer v Tracers in North America, should they choose to go after each other. Clockwork and Jesus both at the very top of their game on our favorite British time traveler. Little poke coming in so far as they try to get in here towards the edge. Clockwork has gone a deep dive. Zachary gets very low, but finds his Mercy to help him out. Stays alive, bloodless so far, ZP.
Really good for Zachary to be able to get out there that quickly, but while he was retreating, Primo wasn't able to get out. So now FNRGFE is able to come in with a 6v5, but it's going back and forth. Cool Matt gets demeched, and Renegades, despite the early tank loss, is now able to come back in. So this is going in and around on the outskirts, and it's really, you see both Mangachu and Bud just looking for their opportunity.
Well, another DMAC, though, takes that Zachary out of the mech. Jesus answers in turn with his own Pulse Bomb, able to take down Muma very back and forth, but Resurrections come on both sides. This is an interesting battle to start off. Nygaard still no control yet.
Very quick sound barrier coming out from Renegades, and that will be the turning point. It was the ultimates built up midway through the game that were able to allow Renegades to come in and secure this point, but very close between both teams. Oh. Did anyone call for Winston fireworks?
I just like that he laughed at it at the end. That was great. Mangachu, one of the best in the game as far as mid-airs and Pharahs v Pharahs. So we talk a lot about his Pharah, and for good reason. He has worked really hard on trying to expand his hero pool, though. He can play a pretty good Zarya. Maybe his D.Va's not at the good level of Cool Mats, but let's be fair, whose is?
Well, not many, that much is for sure, but FNRGFE, they're going to be rolling right back in. They almost have a sound barrier of their own, so this is where Renegades, it would be very useful for them to get an early pickoff here before that comes into play, but no, they're not able to get it. Sound barrier comes in, but Mangachu drops the Justice right on top of Bud's head and evens things up here for Renegades, and that's going to be the determining factor as Mangachu goes off.
Mangachu is one of those Pharahs that I think we still think it might be the best 10-minute straight-up Pharah we've ever seen that we saw a couple months ago, where he just, when he's on, it is a terrifying and beautiful thing to behold.
Mangachu has had the highest peaks of any Pharah. I think that much is very safe to say. The problem is that he's not able to sustain it over a full map in many cases. But so far, this has been a very good start for Mangachu, and FNRGFE already in a rough spot here on Lijiang as they come in here once more.
Absolutely. They're going to need to get in this fight and sustain it, hopefully get a resurrection through, as Banny, that is not TF2 Banny, by the way, is going to be in here on the Mercy. It's just a coincidence he's playing with these old guys. Trying to get in so far, but 85%. Jesus comes in with the Pulse Bomb, takes out two himself.
And that's getting rid of the threat, but Bonnie is right there. Resurrection is in, and that's going to give new life to FNRGFE as they take great advantage on it. Clockwork and Buds working the outside, and now the tanks can start moving in, but Pullback gets taken down. He's not able to stay alive, but it's Buds who finishes the cleanup on the outside with that final barrage.
Bud's, of course, known for his giant plays in the Beyblade meta. Reaper is back in the meta. We might see Bud's flex onto that a little bit later. Of course, on the other side, Zachary would be the one to play Reaper if those things come to fruition. But Bud's a very talented player. He's got a deep pool. He can play a lot of different things, and I think you need someone on that team who can play a lot of things. You need someone who can flex on all sorts of different DPS.
You do need that flexibility here in Overwatch, but now the real question is, will FNRGFE be able to get in on Sherlocky? He's still alive, and they're already down one, so Renegades has a great opening here. They lose Jur, but it's not really going to matter too much in the beginning because Sherlocky is holding in the back. He can bring these fallen heroes back up, and now he's going to move in. Comes in, only gets one off the res, but that one is important. Jesus, very good at working around the outside here on Night Market, and Hex, for now, Renegades has a pretty sizable advantage in this fight.
FNRG comes back in right now, but there's going to be a counter barrage of Jer, or a counter barrier if Jer can stay alive. They do just that, get a couple of kills. Sherlocki now out of this fight as Mangachu holds sway over the skies. 5-4 looking for the cleanup. FNRG does flip it back.
And the problem with Renegades flipping that back there is that FNRGFE, they're not going to be able to come in and really delay this too much. They just lost a big fight. Cool Matt won the last hopes, but his team is dying all around him, and I don't care how good of a diva you may be, when you are surrounded by this many people, it's difficult. That said, Muma comes back in, and they're doing more work than can be expected. Cool Matt picking up 2 kills in an uneven number situation, but still might be too little too late here, Hex.
They try, they had a couple tanks and a Lucio, which is decent. Clockwork gets there just a second too late, as does Banny. That does not count for time on the point.
No, but they were actually really close to pulling that back just because of the delay they had there, more so than you might have thought. If Clockwork was maybe half a second quicker, overtime continues, they get the resurrection, and who knows where that fight goes.
Very close between the two, and I think that's what we're in for today. We expect it to go maybe 5. This is just... I mean, he's dead anyway, right? He might turn the corner around there, but...
Muma was leaping to just throw himself off anyways, but he got a little bit of a helping hand in the form of a rocket to the rear.
Yeah, you gotta take that alt charge where he can get it. He wants to not give it to you, and he just takes it. Just takes it away. Mangachu now off of that Sphera. Very difficult stage to run a pharmacy combo on. Always has been, almost always will be. So they're gonna move him over to Zarya, and they're gonna pair him with a Reaper.
And the question is, how effective will Zachary be on this Reaper? Team's been looking to mix it in, but I would say most teams aren't all that familiar with moving in Reaper right now because they haven't played him in a while. So this is an X factor, but it could work out really well for Renegades, and teams have had success. And already they focus down Matt, they get him out of the fight, and now Zachary is free to clean up the rest.
Yeah, Jesus is able to get in there. Jesus is also a phenomenal diva too. We talked about how it might be Mangachu there, but Jesus has a Tracer and Diva in his pocket. Jesus just has amazing self-destructs as well. So despite them getting a couple of kills here on the other side, it has been taken by Renegades. They get first control of the point.
Well, this is really troublesome for Renegades. So they lost 2 people right towards the end, and now FNRGFE can roll right back in and retake. So that was really brutal because now FNRGFE is going to be fully set up. Renegades is not, and this will very much work in FNRGFE's favor.
The thing I like about both these teams is that they both have a lot of flexibility. Right now, you're going to see Buds move over to the 76. He can run that. They can put Clockwork on the 76. I mean, all their DPS can play a ton. A beautiful opening salvo from Clockwork as he jumps in on Sherlocki, gets the Pulse Bomb.
And they fall through the Transcendence here. They just want to finish this out strongly. They already have the 6v5, but why not use the Transcendence and make that fight even cleaner? So they're going to do just that. And now the question is, can FNRGFE balance their ult economy against the Renegades as they move back in? Because here's one downside, is that they're going to have to use a sound barrier to deal with both an opposing sound barrier and a nano boost. So Renegades, depending on who they put this boost on, they're going to have a big advantage in this fight, especially with the Graviton coming online.
You can do it onto Zachary, actually, too, if you want to get the boost in there. It's not the same as it used to be. The Graviton does come out, grabs a couple in the back line. You have to Primal Rage out of it, gets slept and awoken immediately.
And you see the nano boost going to Mangachu. They just want to build another Graviton as quick as possible, but it's not really working out. Mangachu couldn't even get good target selection there. And FNRGFE, they take the fight to the outskirts. They get 3-1 on the trade-offs here, and they played around Renegades really well in this fight.
Just bad execution, I think, on a lot of those ultimate abilities, most notably the nano boost there towards the end. It got him 10%. That's not the trade you want to be getting right there. And great positioning to rotate out of that. You don't want to fight in these corridors against a Reaper who's going to have Death Blossom up, try to sneak up on you. When you've got long-range DPS, you saw Buds on the cleanup there, and that's just keeping their distance correctly.
Right, and I think the plan there for Renegades was that Mangachu would go into the middle and fight it out, but everyone fought the outskirts, so it didn't really work out. In any case, Renegades is going right back in again. Zachary has a Death Blossom at the ready, but he has to find a way of getting in around Cool Matt, and Mangachu, just a little bit too far deep, ends up falling as FNRGFE uses a Transcendence and comes right back in. So they have an advantage early on this fight, and it's overtime, Hex. Renegades cannot back out of here at this point.
Getting a couple trades back and forth. It is alternating there as Jesus is still alive in his mech, and he's going to get the sound barrier too. It's going to mitigate a lot of the damage on the ground. Cool Matt trying to get his pistol work going on so that he can get back in the mech. Clockwork will rejoin join them. A Pulse Bomb could swing this the other way for his team. They do get the boost to Jesus, but he gets demeched.
Jesus is going to get demeched here, and Matt is going to get back into his mech. He was bunny blastering away, gets right back in, and now reinforcements are coming in for FNRGFE. It's been close, but Renegades getting just piled on here as it's going right back into a straight 6v6. And here's about Renegades, Hex. They weren't able to retake the setup point. They were very close, but not there yet. So even as this is delayed, they're not getting any progress. Graviton comes in, though, and that is exactly what Renegades needed to finish out this fight.
Matt was in it as Baby Diva getting his bunny blaster going, almost got another mech yet again. At the professional level, ZP, you can't let a Diva get back in a mech. You can't let a mech recharge. It doesn't happen very often. You cannot allow that to happen.
Look, Hex, this is a term I'm very familiar with, but sometimes you can't finish your play.
Yes.
After you get the Diva out of her mech, please finish the job. Do not let her get back in.
Yeah.
That is a disaster for all parties
plate
involved.
singular as if you've ever had a meal with one serving.
That is absolutely not true. I go for multiple attacks, but here comes the Renegades. Sound barrier's out, and they are moving right in, but FNRGFE, it's a nice disengage, followed up by a great self-destruct, takes down Sherlocky and Zachary, and with the Transcendence and counter-engage, FNRGFE is going to fully wipe out the Renegades and likely take the stage.
They will take this back rather easily. It was a beautiful self-destruct, I mean, at least to zone, and then you just get the gravy on top. Is that two people unable to get away? Great way to start a fight there. This is going to be a battle. I've got a feeling we're going to see a lot of maps from these teams. Could be wrong, but I hope to see a lot of maps from these teams.
This is one of the series when we looked at the quarterfinals, we thought this could very easily go to 5.
Very easily. So I believe we're going to have a Zarya grab right there. They do grab a couple, and this is actually during a sound barrier too, but both of them with pretty low health regardless of that, and the cleanup there. The Graviton, I think, was about 50-50. One of them just got a Winston who Primal Raged right out of it. Not an ideal target. That one's okay, you know, considering they struggled to kill a Pilot Diva before, I guess you have to use grab on her now.
Apparently. I mean, well, if you put her in grab, Hex, she can't even use what little mobility Baby Diva has.
80.
Thinking back to just Matt moments, he's actually one of the more lethal players with the Buddy Blaster, where it's just like, oh, he actually killed 2-3 people with that.
It does a surprising amount of damage, but it shouldn't. Not at this level, and not when Jesus was also still in his mech. He should have been able to zone that out.
All right, well, FNRGFE and Renegades fighting out here on the Garden. Both Pharahs taking it out on each other, but Primo is punished again. You saw Matt just dive back, deal with the dive in, and now FNRGFE with a 2-man advantage, and they can really press this here, Hex.
Jesus also down too, so that's a lot of the flanking, and I think they know it. Zachary, maybe of his own volition, goes off the edge. The combo gonna back out too. First point given up rather easily to FNRGFE. See Buds and Banny doing a good job against Sherlocky and Mangachu, and we're gonna see combo battles. I really do think it's not about air v air, it's about who can help out the ground better.
Absolutely agree, and even though the air v air is the flashy part, the Pharah that is able to win the ground war first gets a lot more support in turn. But the next fight is underway. Bud's in the air right now, and he's focusing on the ground, but when the other Pharah's on the ground, why not take a pot shot? Mangachu and Buds getting into it, in over the top, but while the ground war's going on, Primo is getting just hit every single time. FNRGFE is isolating Primo Dulce, and the Resurrection is forced out.
I mean, while we're watching that, meanwhile, Muma takes down 3 by himself on the ground. Sherlocky is forced to use the Resurrection before the other side, which is good for FNRGFE. It means that Banny's going to have the res, so Buds can feel safe to barrage at any time, but they don't need to. Muma has been running wild, one of the more underrated tanks in North America, in my opinion. Keep an eye out for him.
Winston Violence, he's able to jump back up. Muma not going to quite get that kill, but it was close, Hex. It was close.
Yeah, the old guerrilla warfare right there. The tactics going on over the side, but nothing really comes of it. Still holding on to that res is FNRGFE. It's going to be huge.
This is up to Zachary here. Zachary gonna throw in the self-destruct over the top. This is a better moment for it, but FNRGFE able to dodge it. So they get nothing off of it. They just zone it back a bit, and Mangachu comes out with the barrage, and it's a beauty. D-Mex Cool Matt takes down Buds, but Bonnie is right there with the Resurrection. So this one perhaps not over just yet.
Not over just yet. Meanwhile, too, they also took out the opposing Mercy, which is probably the big signal to go there. Mangachu finally comes alive in what has been a battle of attrition in the skies between both of these Pharahs. You have to hit 2 out of 3 rockets, and you've seen them hit opening rockets, but they're never able to hit the second or third to really follow up. But there's a Mercy in the pocket. You have to hit multiple rockets in a row, and neither has been able to really do that so far.
For both Pharahs, it's about the pressure they can apply to the other Pharah while then swapping off to the ground and making the ground war a good thing. And so far, Buds has actually done better in that. He's helped the ground war more. He's really focused on Primo as he's left in, and that's given FNRGFE a big advantage. But again, you look at Primo right now, even with the Primal Rage, getting focused on heavily, FNRGFE trying to take him out of the fight, even as they come back in the contest.
Come back into contest, but there are some bodies down there stalling out on the point. They do shift their focus to collapse onto that point to try to take out these bodies, even propping a Primal Rage as well. Will force out the barrier. Banny getting very low right now, in trouble. Gonna be chased down. Not finished by Jesus. There it is, finally. He's slippery, but not that slippery. Jesus will find him and execute him. And that is a couple of kills that they needed to be able to push the pressure off this point.
Jesus was nothing if not persistent there. And for Renegades, they're starting to bring this one back. FNRGFE did have a bit of buffer room to go with here. And honestly, I think this next fight is probably more their window where they will have a bit of an advantage. They have a barrier while Renegades does not. So they can engage a little bit more aggressively. And then if anyone does die, they do have Banny there at the Resurrection. The problem is that if they don't get Sherlocky, it could very well be neutralized out. So where Sherlocky is and how he gets focused on here is going to be very important, as here comes FNRGFE.
It's about as simple as it can be. Which Mercy goes down or does not go down might dictate the rest of this fight. Clockwork spending a lot of time trying to finish this. Lucio still unable to get there. Resurrection first used by Banny gives Renegades the small advantage here. They will use it just like that. A beautiful barrage as Sherlocky brought a couple alive too. They have the advantage now.
Well, they have a really big advantage now as FNRGFE is going to struggle just to get back onto the point. 95% to 89%. Now, this is desperation. We have seen teams pull it back from this point, but it's going to be difficult. They do get onto the point just in time. Coolmat throws Smek on, but Renegades is looking to solidify. They drop the sound barrier, and they use it to great effect, picking up 2 immediate kills right after it. FNRGFE, they don't have a lot in the tank here, Hex. They have to delay and hope for a miracle.
That was going all the way bad when Clockwork died in an off-screen Tracer v Tracer to Jesus. I said that was going to be such an important battle between them. And you want your Tracer alive to be able to dance on the point, to be able to stall this out. It's so important, and they don't have him there. He might be able to get back now, already low. It's all over but the crying, I do believe.
So let me ask you this, Hex. Would you like to see FNRGFE go to what they've done against Pharahs in the past rather than what they're doing now, where instead of trying to match Pharah v Pharah, you put Buds on the 76 and you put Matt on a duty of just really getting the Mangachu's face? Because I feel like they've been trying to beat Renegades at their own game here, and Mangachu is still a very good Pharah in the Pharah v Pharah battle.
Yeah.
Even though there were points where Buds was clearly getting the better of it, Mangachu exploded towards the latter half of that round.
I don't necessarily want to take a Pharmacy combo versus Mangachu's Pharmacy combo. He puts more time in it than anyone. It's still his home hero. He thinks it's his best hero by far. And yeah, they have the people to be able to run a counter to this in the 76, but it wasn't one-sided enough that I think you have to do it, but I think it's something that has to be an option in your mind right now, that if this starts to go poorly for us, we need to have that transition ready to go.
Well, the one thing that I think is really clear to point out here is that the one round that FNRGFE won was a round where Mangachu wasn't able to win the Pharah, or run the Pharah. It was on Control Center, so I do think there's something to be said for maybe not going Pharah v Pharah right now.
It's completely possible, I would agree. I also think that Sherlocky's playing really well. He's giving a lot of people heals, whereas Banny seems to be stuck a lot on just Buds right now. Some of that is the positioning of Buds, though, too. So I think the combo overall, not just the Pharahs, are playing really well.
This is a very even fight here so far. Both teams trading out, and it's Renegades off of the Pharah of Mangachu, able to get the final few kills and pushes one back in their favor as Coolmat is executed by Jesus. He thought he was going to hit the pavement, but no. Pulse rifle ammunition hit him first.
Ah, Jesus. Jesus is one of my favorite players, J3sis. He's a Tracer main, and he's plays so well on it, and that's why the addition of Zachary's been so important to him, is because he can stay on the Tracer more often than not now. He doesn't have to flex as often anymore.
No, he doesn't, at least. And now FNRGFE going to be coming right back in here. Clockwork and Jesus both with pulse bombs, looking for targets in the back, but Jesus strikes first and even gets Clockwork in the process. That was a 2-for-1 special, but Bonnie is there at the res, and that's going to undo some of that and keep FNRGFE still alive. The problem is that Sherlocky still has his resurrection, and I would say he hasn't really been pressured much at all in this game so far.
You don't really want to use the res there, too. Using a res to bring your team back to full strength is not ideal. You want to use the res to tempo and to bring it back that you have the advantage off of it as well. Sherlocky's going to use it just like that to bring back Primo there, who went down. It's a solo res, but it's completely fine. I think the less people you res is often a better sign for your team that, oh, it's fine, we'll just bring him one up.
Well, just bringing one up can be completely fine, especially if it is a tempo resurrection. So
here's a triple res.
Yeah, the triple res comes up, but here's the problem: is that this is just letting them tread water here. It's not giving them an advantage; it's giving them a second chance.
Exactly.
If you can resurrect and bring up 2 people when both teams are down 2 people, now you have a 6v4, and that's a much better position to be in.
Well, they still have yet to fully deal with the combination that is Mangachu and Sherlocky in the sky. And what I was trying to say earlier is that I think Sherlocky's just played a little bit better than Banny on that Mercy so far today. As you mentioned, he's been very difficult to get to. Buds comes in. They will find Banny eventually, though, as Zachary takes him out with his self-destruct. So that's a small advantage here for FNRGFE, looking to finally take control at this point.
Oh no! Sherlocky took down Buds with a headshot Mercy pistol towards the very end, and then threw himself off the cliff. So you want to talk about parting shots as you depart. Won't really affect the next fight too much, but highly entertaining nonetheless.
Style points.
Yes.
Style points indeed. Well, it maybe affects it a little bit. Benny was going to have the resurrection much earlier before Sherlocky. Should have it in the middle of this fight. Going very low. They have to use Sound Barrier to keep Banny alive.
They have to use it immediately, and FNRGFE, they don't have any more room to give. If they lose a single fight here, that's going to be it, and they are getting poked down heavily from the sides. Bud's trying to do the same, and does. Finds Jur on the outskirts, and this gives FNRGFE an enormous advantage in finishing out this fight.
Damn Twisted Rockets are going to make that Diva's life very difficult, and down to the pavement goes Diva's. Muma gives her a helping hand off the edge. Couple of 1 fights in a row here for FNRGFE. Again, simplistic analysis incoming. Mercy's going to be pretty important in the next fight. Both will have their ultimates ready. You want to use it second if at all possible.
Indeed, and one thing I'm going to note here is I don't think either team has really been going after the other Mercy super hard here, so it's just weird. You can almost assume that both teams are going to get a resurrection off. It's just a matter of how greedy do you want to be as a Mercy here.
Well, that's the stage, though, too. It's very difficult to get to Mercies on this stage as they just kind of found a different area to fight outside the edge. That Mercy's on the ground. That is ground beef right there as Sherlocky goes down to Boink.
Lucio on Mercy violent. Sometimes Boink takes matters into his own hands, but that's going to greatly aid FNRGFE. Mangachu cannot be anywhere near as aggressive when his lifeline is taken out, so FNRGFE, a team that was on the verge of losing this round and losing the map, is now 1 fight away themselves, Hex, and they're looking pretty good for this next fight. The one thing that's going to be tricky, though, is that Renegades has a small window where they can come up the barrier and catch them off guard.
Sherlocky dying there is kind of Mangachu's fault, in my opinion. He was on the ground. Where's Sherlocky supposed to be if you're Mercy or if your Pharaoh's on the ground? You need that sky escape for them. They will open a barrier here, ZP.
They open with the barrier, but they're not able to get any kills, and that means FNRGFE can roll right back in. And here's the thing, is that they lost Boink. They don't get a barrier of their own, but Banny can res him back up, and there's the resurrection. The resurrection comes in, but it doesn't hit Boink. They're not going to get a barrier here, and it's still very close, but a bit in favor of Renegades because of how that played out.
Resurrection into barrier is one of the best support combos as old as time. It gets you up and back in fighting shape as quickly as humanly possible. Still very close back and forth here as ults pop all over the place. Mangachu solo-handedly rains justice on the opposing combination, and that might just be it.
What more can you ask from your Pharaoh? Mangachu, his own cleanup duty here towards the end, and Renegades just a little bit away from taking this first map away from FNRGFE. Overtime ticks down, and that's going to be it.
Something that we've talked about, and we have somewhat varying opinions on this, is Mangachu's heroes that aren't Pharah. And I agree with you that the best bet against him is to make him not play Pharah. And whether that's 76, whether that's Zarya, whether that's anything, you can't let him do this. You cannot let him do this. And maybe it's just the map, right? It's a great map for Pharah. We've always seen her on it, but man, he went wild on that. And Buds actually had a pretty decent game, but nowhere near Mangachu's game.
And especially on Night Market, honestly. Night Market, and this was a good RNG for them coming into that 4th point. To get that again, he just had free reign generally of the outside, the free air, because, well, you don't really want to be on the Night Market side as a Pharah. You don't have nearly as many